Let me introduce myself to you. My name is Cicely Cardew.
Cicely Cardew? What a very sweet name. I think we are going to be great friends. I like you already more than I can say. My first impressions of people are never wrong.
How nice of you to like me so much when we have known each other for such a short time. Please sit down.
I may call you Cicely, may I not?
Of course, with pleasure.
And you will always call me Gwendolyn, won't you?
If you wish.
Well, that is all quite settled, is it not?
I hope so.
Perhaps this is a good opportunity to tell you who I am. My father is Lord Bracknell. You have never heard of Papa, I suppose?
I don't think so.
Outside the family circle, Papa, I'm glad to say, is completely unknown. I think that is quite right. The home seems to me to be the proper place for a man. Certainly, once a man begins to neglect his duties at home, it makes him very attractive. Cicely Mama, whose views on education are very strict, has brought me up to be extremely short-sighted. It is part of her system. So, do you mind me looking at you through my glasses?
Oh, not at all, Gwendolyn. I like being looked at.
Mm. You're here on a short visit, I suppose?
Oh no, I live here.
Really? Your mother or an elderly female relations live here also?
Oh no, I have no mother, nor in fact any relations.
Indeed.
My dear guardian, with the help of Miss Prism, has the difficult task of looking after me.
Your guardian?
Yes, I'm Mr. Worthington's ward.
Oh, it is strange he never mentioned to me that he has a ward. How secretive of him. He is becoming more interesting every hour. However, I am not sure that I am delighted by this news. I have liked you ever since I met you, Cicely, but now that I know that you are Mr. Worthington's ward, I must say that I wish you were, well, a bit older than you seem to be, and not quite so pretty. In fact, if I may speak candidly,
Please do. I think that when one has anything unpleasant to say, one should always be quite candid.
well, to be quite candid, Cicely, I wish that you were at least 32 years old and extremely plain. Ernest has an honorable and truthful nature. He would never be deceitful. But the most honorable man can be influenced by the beauty of others. Modern history, and indeed ancient history, give us with many painful examples of what I refer to. Indeed, history would be quite unreadable if it were not so.
I beg your pardon, Gwendolyn. Did you say Ernest?
Yes,
Oh, but it is not Mr. Ernest Worthington who is my guardian. It is his brother, his elder brother.
Ernest never mentioned to me that he had a brother.
I'm sorry to say that they have not gotten well with each other for a long time.
Ah, I see. And now I think about it. I have never heard any man mention his brother. Most men don't seem to like the subject. Cicely, you have lifted a weight from my mind. I was becoming almost anxious. It would have been awful if any cloud has come across such a special friendship, would it not? Are you quite sure that it is not Mr. Worthing who is your guardian?
Quite sure. In fact, I'm going to be his guardian.
I beg your pardon?
Dearest Gwendolyn, there is no reason why I should keep it a secret from you. It will be in the local newspaper next week. Mr. Ernest Worthington and I are engaged to be married.
My darling Cicely, I think that there must be some small mistake. Mr. Ernest Worthing is engaged to me. The announcement will appear in the newspaper on Saturday at the latest.
I'm afraid that you are mistaken. Ernest proposed to me exactly 10 minutes ago.
It is very strange because he asked me to be his wife yesterday afternoon at 5:30. Please check for yourself. I never travel without my diary. One should always have something exciting to read on the train. I'm so sorry, dear Cicely, if it is any disappointment to you, but I'm afraid that I was his first choice.
It would make me very sad, dear Gwendolen, to cause you any pain, but I feel I must point out that since Ernest proposed to you, he has changed his mind.
If the poor fellow has been trapped into making a foolish promise, it is my duty to rescue him at once, and firmly.
If my dear boy has got into an unfortunate entanglement, I will never reproach him for it when we are married.
Are you calling me an entanglement, Miss Cardew? You are presumptuous. On an occasion of this kind, it becomes more than a duty to speak one's mind. It becomes a pleasure.
Do you suggest, Miss Fairfax, that I trapped Ernest into an engagement? How dare you? This is not time to pretend to have good manners. When I see a spade, I call it a spade.
I am glad to say that I have never seen a spade. It is obvious we do not live in the same social circle.
Shall I set the table for afternoon tea here as usual, miss?
Yes, as usual.
Are there many interesting walks near here, Miss Cardew?
Oh yes, a great many. From the top of one of the hills one can see 5 countries.
5 countries? I don't think I should like that. I hate crowds.
I suppose that is why you live in town?
This is quite a well-kept garden, Miss Cardew.
I'm glad you like it, Miss Fairfax.
I had no idea there were any flowers in the country.
Oh, flowers are as common here, Miss Fairfax, as people are in London.
Personally, I cannot imagine how anyone manages to live in the country, if anybody who is anybody does.
Would you like some tea, Miss Fairfax?
Yes, thank you, hateful girl, but I want some tea.
Sugar?
No, thank you. Sugar is not fashionable anymore.
Cake or bread and butter?
Bread and butter, please.
Give that to Miss Fairfax.
You have filled my tea with lumps of sugar, and while I ask for bread and butter, you have given me a cake? I am known to be sweet-tempered, but I warn you, Miss Cardew, you may go too far.
I would go any distance to save my poor, innocent Tustin boy from being trapped by a girl like you.
I have distrusted you from the moment I saw you. I felt you were false and deceitful. I am never wrong in such matters. My first impressions of people are always right.
It seems to me that I'm keeping you from other appointments. No doubt you have many other similar calls to make in the area.
Ernest, my own Ernest.
Gwendolen, darling.
Wait a moment. May I ask if you're engaged to be married to this young lady?
To dear little Cicely, of course not. What could have put such an idea into your pretty little head?
Thank you. You may kiss me.
I knew there must be some kind of misunderstanding, Miss Fairfax. The gentleman whose arm is at present around your waist is my guardian, Mr. Jack Wharton.
I beg your pardon?
This is Uncle Jack.
Jack? Oh.
Here is Ernest.
My own love.
Wait a moment, Ernest. May I ask you, are you engaged to be married to this young lady?
To what young lady? Good heavens, Gwendolen, of course not. What could have put such an idea in your pretty little head?
Thank you. You may kiss me.
I felt there was some slight error, Miss Cardew. The gentleman whose arm is at present round your waist is my cousin, Mr. Algernon Moncrief.
Algernon Moncrief? Oh. Are you called Algernon?
I cannot deny it.
Oh.
Is your name really Jack?
I could deny it if I like it. I could deny anything if I like it. But my name certainly is Jack. It has been Jack for years.
We have both been terribly deceived.
My poor wounded Cecily.
My poor wounded Gwendolen.
Please, will you call me sister?
There is just one question I would like to ask my guardian.
A very good idea. Mr. Worthing, there is just one question I would like permission to ask you. Where is your brother Earnest? We are both engaged to be married to your brother Earnest, so it is important for us to know where he is at the present.
Gwendolen, Cecily, it is very painful for me, but I must speak the truth. It is the first time in my life that I have been in such a painful position, and I am quite unexperienced at doing with this. However, I will tell you honestly that I have no brother Ernest. I have no brother at all. I have never had a brother in my life, and I don't intend ever to have a brother in the future.
No brother at all?
None.
Did you ever have a brother of any kind?
Never. Not of any kind.
I am afraid, Cecily, that neither of us is engaged to be married to anyone.
It is not a very pleasant position for a young girl suddenly to find herself in, is it?
Let us go into the house. They will not follow us into the house, will we?
No, men are so crowdly, aren't they?
I suppose that this awful business is what you call Banbury, isn't it?
Yes, and it's the best Banburying I have ever done in my life.
Well, you have no right to Banbury here.
That is absurd. One has a right to Banbury wherever one chooses. Every serious Banburist knows it.
What are you saying? Serious Banburist? Good heavens!
Well, one must be serious about something. If one wants to enjoy one's life, I'm serious about Banbury. I have no idea what you are serious about. I suppose you are serious about everything.
Well, one satisfaction I get from this awful business is that you won't be able to Banbury anymore. Your friend Banbury is quite finished. You won't be able to run away from town to the country quite so often now, earlier. And that's a very good thing.
Your brother isn't very well, isn't he, Jack? That, in fact, you want to be able to run away to town from the country quite so often now. And that's a very good thing too.
And you have behaved very badly towards Miss Cardew. I must say that deciding a sweet, simple girl like Cecily is very weak of you. To say nothing of the fact that she is my wife.
You must say that deciding a brilliant, clever young lady like Miss Fairfax is very wicked of you. To say nothing of the fact that she is my cousin.
I wanted to be engaged to Gwendolen, that is all. I love her.
Well, I simply wanted to be engaged to Cecily. I adore her.
There is certainly no chance of you marrying Miss Cardew.
I don't think there is much chance of your marrying Miss Fairfax, Jack.
I can't understand how can you sit there, calmly eating muffins when we are in this awful trouble. You seem to me to be perfectly headless.
Well, I can't eat muffins in an agitated manner. The butter would probably get on my cuffs. One should always eat muffins calmly. It is the only way to eat them.
I think it is perfectly headless to be eating muffins at all, in these circumstances.
Well, I am in trouble. Eating is the only thing which makes me feel better. That, when I am very great trouble, I refuse everything except food and drink. At present, I am eating muffins because I am happy. Besides, I like muffins.
Well, there is no reason why you should eat them all.
Yes, will you have tea cake instead? I don't like tea cake.
Good heavens, I think a man made his own muffins in his own garden.
But you have just said it was perfectly heartless to eat muffins.
I said it was perfectly heartless of you to eat muffins. That is very different.
Maybe, but the muffins are the same.
LJ, I wish you would go.
You can't ask me to go without giving my son dinner. I never go without my dinner. Besides, I have just arranged it with Canon Chasuble to be baptized at 5:45. I am going to be baptized with the same name of Earnest.
My dear fellow, no, you aren't. It is nonsense. I arranged with Canon Chasuble to be baptized myself at 5:30. I will, of course, take the name Earnest. Gwendolyn would want me to. We can both be baptized with the name Earnest. It is absurd. Besides, I have a right to be baptized if I like. There is no evidence that I have ever been baptized. I think it is very likely that I never was, and so does Canon Chasuble. It is different for you. You have been baptized already.
Yes, but that was years ago.
Yes, but you have been baptized. That is the important thing.
Yes, indeed. So I know my health can bear it. I must say I think that it's rather dangerous for you to be baptized now. It might make you very unwell. You can't have forgotten that a close relative very nearly died in Paris this week of a bad cold.
Yes, but you said yourself that a bad cold was not hereditary.
I know it didn't used to be, but it probably is now. Science is always making wonderful improvements.
Oh, that is nonsense. You always talk nonsense.
Jack, muffins again. I wish you wouldn't. There are only 2 left. I told you I was particularly fond of muffins.
But I hate tea cake.
Then why on earth do you serve tea cake to your guest? I don't like your ideas for hospitality.
Algernon, I have already told you to go. I don't want you here. Why don't you go?
Because I haven't finished my tea yet. I have 1 muffin left.
We have not followed us into the house. If anyone else would have done, they must be ashamed.
They have been eating muffins. That looks like repentance to me.
We don't seem to know this house at all. Couldn't you cough?
But I haven't got a cough.
They're looking at us. How dare they?
They are coming towards us. How presumptuous of them.
Let us remain silent and dignified.
Certainly, it is the only thing to do now.
With dignified, silence is rather unpleasant.
Yes, I agree, it is.
But we will not be the first to speak.
Certainly not.
Mr. Wathin, I have something to ask you. Your reply is extremely important.
Gwendolyn, I value your common sense, Mr. Moncrief. I would be grateful if you would answer the following question. Why did you pretend to be my guardian's brother?
In order that I might have the opportunity of meeting you.
That seems a satisfactory explanation, does it not?
Yes, dear, if you can believe him.
I don't believe him, but it is a wonderful answer.
That is true. If you are talking about something very serious, the style of what you say is much more important than the sincerity. Mr. Wathin, why did you pretend to have a brother? Was it in order that you could come to town as often as possible to see me?
Can you doubt that, Miss Fairfax?
I have very strong doubts, but I intend to ignore it. them. Their explanations appear to be quite satisfactory, especially Mr. Waffles. His answer seems to me to be particularly truthful.
I'm very happy with what Mr. Moncrief said. The sound of his voice alone makes me feel certain that I should believe him.
Then, do you think we should forgive them?
Yes, I mean no.
I agree. I had forgotten something. We have idioms which we must not ignore. Which of us should tell them? The task is not a pleasant one.
Could we not both speak to them at the same time?
That is an excellent idea. I nearly always speak at the same time as other people. Are you ready?
Certainly.
Your first
names
problem
are problems that cannot be solved. That is all.
Our first
Our
names.
first names.
Is that all?
Is that all?
But we are going
to be baptized later this afternoon.
Are you really prepared to do this terrible thing for my sake?
I am.
Are you really prepared to face this awful ordeal to please me?
I am.
How absurd to talk about the equality of the sexes. Men are infinitely better than us at self-sacrifice.
We are.
They have moments of courage of which we women know nothing.
Darling!
Darling!
Lady Bracknell is here.
Good heavens.
Gwendolen, what does this mean?
It means that I'm engaged to be married to Mr. Waffin, Mama.
Come here. Sit down. Sit down immediately. I learned of Gwendolen's sudden departure from her trusted maid, who gave me the information after I had given her a small coin. I followed her at once on the next train. Her father does not know where she is, and I don't propose to tell him the truth. In fact, I never tell him the truth about anything. I would consider it wrong to do so. You must understand that all communication between you and my daughter must stop immediately. On this point, as indeed on all points, I am firm.
I'm engaged to be married to Gwendolen, Lady Bracknell.
You are not, sir. And now, Algernon?
Yes, Aunt Augusta.
Is this the house in which your invalid friend Mr. Brumbley lives?
Oh no, Bunbury doesn't live here. Bunbury is somewhere else at present. In fact, Bunbury is dead.
Dead? When Mr. Bunbury died, his death must have been extremely sudden.
Oh, I killed Bunbury this afternoon. I mean, poor Bunbury died this afternoon.
Why did he die of?
Bunbury? Oh, he was quite exploded.
Exploded? Was he the victim of a terrorist plot? I was not aware that Mr. Bunbury was interested in politics. If so, he deserved his punishment.
My dear Aunt Augusta, I mean that he was found out. What I mean is doctor found out that Bunbury couldn't live, so he died.
He seems to have had great confidence in his doctor's opinions. I'm glad, however, that he made up his mind to do something definite and acted on proper medical advice. And now, Mr. Woffing, may I ask, who is that young person whose hand my nephew Algernon is holding? He is holding it, I may add, in a most unnecessary way.
This lady is Miss Cecily Cardew, my wife.
I'm changing to be married to Cecily, Aunt Augusta.
I beg your pardon?
Mr. Moncrief and I are engaged to be married, Lady Bracknell.
I do not know whether there is anything very exciting about there in Hertfordshire, but the number of engagements being made seems to be considerably above the expected average. I think that it would be a good idea for me to make some preliminary inquiries. Mr. Woffing, is Miss Cardew connected with any of the larger railway stations in London? I'm merely asking for information. I did not know until yesterday that there were families or persons who were related to railway station.
Miss Cardew is the granddaughter of late Mr. Thomas Cardew of 149 Belgrave Square, London, of Gervais Park, Dorking, Surrey, and also of West Foreign, Fifershire, Scotland.
That sounds not unsatisfactory. Free addresses always inspire confidence, but I have no proof that they are real.
Miss Cardew's family lawyers are Markby, Markby, and Markby.
Markby, and Markby were lawyers in very highest position on their profession. Indeed, I know that one of the Mr. Markbys is occasionally to be seen in dinner parties. I'm always satisfied.
How extremely kind of you, Lady Bracknell. I have also got you, will be pleased to hear, certificates of Miss Cardew's birth, baptism, and confirmation of vaccinations for whooping coach and the measles, both German and English.
Oh, a busy life. I see. Thought perhaps it had been too exciting for a young girl. I do not believe a young girl should have too many experiences. Gwendolen, we must leave. We had not a moment to lose, since I am making inquiries. Mr. Woffing, I had better ask you if Miss Cardew has any personal fortune.
Oh, she has an investment of £130,000 in government stocks. So her annual income is very large. That is all. Goodbye, Lady Bracknell. So pleased to have seen you.
Just a moment, Mr. Woffing. £130,000? And in government stocks? Miss Cardew seems to me to be a very attractive young lady, now that I look at her. Few girls today have any good qualities which last and improve with time. We live in time when beauty is the only important thing. Come here, dear. You're a pretty child. Your dress is not very fashionable and your hair has not been styled very well. But we can soon after that. An experienced French maid will produce a very good result in a short time. I remember recommending one to Lady Lansing, and after a few months, her own husband did not know her.
And a few months nobody knew her.
Turn round, sweet child. No, I want to see you from the side. Yes, very good. There is much about your situation which is promising. You could fit well into good society. Hold your chin a little higher, dear. Chins are worn very high at present. Algernon?
Yes, Aunt Augusta.
There is much about her situation which is promising. She could fit well into good society.
Cicely is the sweetest, dearest, prettiest girl in the whole world, and I don't care about her fitting into good society.
Do not be dismissive of good society, Algernon. Only people who can get into good society speak like that. Dear child, of course Algernon has no money. He has nothing but his debts to bring to the marriage. But I do not approve of marrying for money. When I married Lord Bracknell, I had no fortune at all, but I didn't allow that to stand in my way. Well, I suppose I must give my consent to this marriage.
Thank you, Aunt Augusta.
Cecily, you may kiss me.
Thank you, Lady Bracknell.
You may also call me as Aunt Augusta in future.
Thank you, Aunt Augusta.
The marriage ought to take place quite soon.
Thank you, Aunt Augusta.
Thank you, Aunt Augusta.
I do not approve of long engagements. They give people a chance to find out about each other's character before marriage, which I think is never advisable.
I beg your pardon, Lady Bracknell, but their engagement is not acceptable. I'm Miss Caddy's guardian, and she can't marry without my consent until she comes of age. I will not give my consent.
Why, may I ask? Algernon is an extremely eligible young man. He has nothing, but he looks as if he has everything. What more can one want?
I am very sorry to have to say this to you, Lady Bracknell, but the fact is that I do not approve of this character. I suspect that he is devious.
Davius? My nephew Algernon? Impossible. He was educated at Oxford University.
There can be no doubt about it. This afternoon, while I was away in London, he was allowed into his house because he said he was my brother. While pretending to be my brother, he drank. I am informed by my servant a complete bottle of very good quality champagne, which I was keeping especially for myself. He also succeeded in turning my verdict against me. He then stayed to tea and ate every muffin we had. He behaved completely heartlessly. And what is worse, he knew that I don't have a brother, that I have never met a brother, and that I don't intend to ever have a brother of any kind. He knew because I told him so myself yesterday afternoon.
Mr. Woffing, after thinking about this carefully, I have decided to forget about my nephew behaved towards you.
It is very good of you, Lady Bracknell. I have decided, however, not to change my mind. I will not give my consent.
Come here, sweet child. How old are you, my dear?
Well, I'm really only 18, but I always say I'm 20 when I go to parties.
You are perfectly right to make a small alteration. Indeed, no woman should ever be quite accurate about her age. It looks so devious. Well, it will not be very long before you come of age. So, I don't think your guardian's consent is very important.
Excuse me for interrupting you again, Lady Bracknell. I must tell you that, according to her grandfather's will, Miss Caddy does not come of age until she is 35.
That does not seem to me to be a problem. 35 is a very attractive age. London society is full of women who have, by their own free choice, remained 35 for years. Lady Dumbleton is an example. She has been 35 ever since she reached the age of 40, which was many years ago. Our dear Cecily will be even more attractive at the age of 35 than she is at present. She will have even more money than she has now.
LG, could you wait for me till I was 35?
Of course I could, Cecily. You know I could.
Yes, I believe that you could, but I couldn't wait all the time. I hate waiting even 5 minutes for anybody. It always makes me rather cross. I'm not punctual myself, but I do like other people to be punctual. Waiting even to be married is quite out of the question.
Then what are we going to do, Cecily?
I don't know, Mr. Moncrief.
My dear Mr. Woffing, Miss Cardew states that she cannot wait till she is 35. A remark that tells me she has a rather impatient nature. However, I beg of you to think again about your decision.
My dear Lady Bracknell, the decision is entirely in your own hands. When you consent to my marriage with Gwendolen, I will gladly consent to your nephew's marriage with my wife.
You must know that what your marriage with my daughter is not possible.
When none of us can look forward to ever getting married.
I cannot agree to Gwendolen never getting married. Algernon, of course, he may choose for himself. Come, dear, we have already missed 5 if not 6 trains.
Everything is quite ready for the baptism.
The baptism? It is not a little early for baptism. First marriage, then children, then baptism.
Both these gentlemen have said they wish to be baptized immediately.
Baptized? At your age? The idea is ridiculous and quite irreligious. Algernon, I forbid you to be baptized. My husband, Lord Bracknell, would be very displeased to hear that you were wasting your time and money like this.
Do I understand you correctly? Is neither of you gentlemen to be baptized?
I don't think that baptism will be much use to either of us at the moment, Canon Casable.
I'm very sorry to hear you say so, Mr. Woffing. That sounds like the view of an irreligious man. I have written 4 unpublished sermons on this subject. However, since you have decided to ignore religion for now, I will return to the church where Miss Prism has been waiting for me for an hour and a half.
Miss Prism? Did I hear you say Miss Prism?
Yes, Lady Bracknell, I'm going to the church to join her now.
Wait a moment, Canon Chasuble. This is something which may be important to Lord Bracknell and myself. Is this Miss Prism a rather ugly female who is remotely connected with education?
She is a very respectable lady.
It must be the same person. May I ask what position she has in your household?
I'm a celebrate, madam.
Lady Bracknell, Miss Prince has been Miss Caddy's valued governess and companion for the last 3 years.
I must see her at once. Let her be sent for.
She's approaching. She's nearly here.
I was told you were coming to the church, dear Canon. I have been waiting there for an hour and 3/4.
Prism! Come here, Prism! Prism! 28 years ago, you left Lord Bracknell's house, number 104, Upper Grosvenor Square, London, in charge of a pram containing a baby boy. You never returned. A few weeks later, after a police investigation, the pram was discovered at midnight in a remote part of the city. It contained the manuscript of a very bad 3-volume novel. But baby was not there. Prism, where is that baby?
Lady Bracknell, I am ashamed to say I don't know. I wish I did. That's the fact.
On the morning of the day, a day I will remember forever, I prepared as usual to take the baby out in the pram. I had with me a large old handbag in which I had intended to put the manuscript, a 3-volume novel, and I had written. In a moment of forgetfulness for which I can never forgive myself, I put the manuscript in the pram and the baby in the handbag.
But where did you put the handbag?
Do not ask me, Mr. Worthing.
Miss Prism, this is very important to me. I must know where you put the handbag, which contained the baby.
I left it in the cloakroom of one of the large railway stations in London.
Which railway station?
Victoria.
I must go to my bedroom for a moment. Gwendolyn, wait for me here.
If you are not too long, I will wait for you all of my life.
What do you think this means, Lady Bracknell?
I dare not guess, Canon Chasuble. You must know that strange coincidences are not supposed to happen in families with a high position in society like ours. They are not appropriate.
Uncle Jack sounds very agitated.
This noise is extremely unpleasant.
It has stopped now.
I wish he would stop.
The suspense is terrible. I hope it will last.
Is this the handbag, Miss Prims? Examine it carefully before you speak. The happiness of more than one person depends on your answer.
The bag is definitely mine. I am delighted to have it returned to me so unexpectedly. It has been inconvenient not to have it all this year.
Miss Prism, you have had me returned to you when the handbag. I was the baby you placed in it.
You?
Yes, mother.
Mr. Worthing, I am unmarried.
Unmarried? That is a serious problem, but who has the right to speak badly of someone who has suffered? Why should society treat men and women differently? Mother, I forgive you.
Mr. Worthing, you are wrong. There is a lady who can tell you who you really are.
Lady Bracknell, would you kindly inform me who I am?
I'm afraid that my news may not please you. You're the son of my poor sister, Mrs. Moncrief, and for Algernon's elder brother.
Algy's elder brother? When I have a brother after all. I knew I had a brother. I always said I had a brother. Cicely, how could you ever have doubted that I had a brother? Canon Chasuble, here is my unfortunate brother. Miss Prism, my unfortunate brother. Gwendolyn, my unfortunate brother. Algy, you will have to treat me with more respect in the future. You have never behaved to me like a younger brother should.
Well, I haven't done until today. I did my best, Ron.
My own. But my own what? What is your name? Now what you are not, Jack Worthing?
Good heavens, I had forgotten about my name. I suppose that you won't change your mind about your favorite name?
Never.
Then the question must be cleared up at once. Aunt Augusta had been baptized?
Your loving parents had done everything for you, including baptism.
When I was baptized, that is clear. Now, what name was I given? Let me know the worst.
You were the eldest son, so you were given your father's name.
Yes, but what was my father's name?
I cannot at present remember what the general's name was, but I had no doubt that he had one.
Algy, can you remember what your father's name was?
My dear fellow, we never even spoke to each other. He died before I was a year old.
His name will appear in your army lists of that period, I suppose. And Augusta.
The general was a man of peace, except in his domestic life. So I have no doubt that his name will appear in an army list.
The army list of the last 40 years I hear. I should have read them all. Generals, Melam, Maxbone, Magley, the total names will have Markby, Mingby, Mox, Monsif, Lituan, 8040, Captain, Colonel, General 69, names, Ernest John. I always told you, Gwendolyn, that my name was Earnest. Didn't I? Well, it is Earnest after all. I mean, it really is Earnest.
Yes, I remember now that the general called you Earnest. I knew I had a reason for disliking that name.
Ernest, my own Ernest. I felt from the first time I met you that you could have know our name.
Gwendolyn, it's terrible for a man to find out suddenly that he has been speaking the truth all his life. Can you forgive me?
I can, because I will, but you're going to change.
My own darling.
Letitia.
Frederica, at last.
Cecily at last.
Gwendolyn, at last.
My nephew, you seem to be displaying signs of a lack of seriousness.
On the contrary, Aunt Augusta, I have now realized for the first time in my life the importance of being earnest.